and this presentation is presented by Audio-Technica. Thank you so much for making this possible. Yep, fans over there, the crowd is with us, and that is leading me to the topic. Together with his team, he is responsible for the complex sound solutions at Glastonbury Festival, the biggest music festival in Great Britain. He started to work with Glastonbury in 2007, and what a flipped coin has to do with his great journey in the world of sound, he will tell us in a short while here on stage. Please give it up for the live sound specialist, all the way from England here on stage, Simon Honywill. Guten Tag. Hi.
You didn't tell me I had to talk through a coder system.
So good to have you.
Nice to be here.
And we had this chat in advance, so we talked via Zoom, and you told me about this flipped coin. So please share with the audience, what is it about this flipped coin that brought you to the world of sound?
Oh, well, you can probably tell by the color of my hair and my general demeanor that I've been doing this a very long time. And in 1979, having had a PA system, a very cheap one, stolen, myself and a friend of mine, we wanted to be rock stars. And having had the equipment stolen, we thought, right, one of us is going to have to get a job. So we flipped a coin, and it came down to me. And I went out, and he stayed at home and wrote the songs, Dreamers. I had to go and get a job. I went into a job centre in South London, which was a very, very grim place in the end of the 1970s. And on there was a handwritten note which said, wanted rigger driver for a South London sound company. And that sound company was called R.G. Jones Sound Engineering, the oldest sound company in the world. They first started trading in 1926. And I've been associated with them ever since. And the clicker's not working. Sebastian, what's going on?
It should over there.
We're going mad. Going mad now. I very quickly ended up realizing that this was something I actually enjoyed doing and I wanted to get better at. And very soon I came to the realization that I couldn't be a rock star because A, I wasn't good enough, and B, it didn't earn me any money at the time, and still doesn't, even though I still try. And I ended up here.
Here you are. Yeah. And now you help rock stars to sound spectacular, for example, at Glastonbury.
Yeah, and lots of other places too. Yeah. Other festivals are available, by the way.
All right. So good to have you. I leave you with the stage. I know you will deliver your presentation in a perfect manner. It's Simon Honywill. So good to have you.
Thanks, Sebastian. So that's my story. I ended up where I am 45 years later. And I'm responsible for many things, but one of them is some of the stages at one of the best-known festivals in the world, Glastonbury. This is an aerial view of the festival. It is, as I understand it, the largest greenfield festival, certainly in Europe. It's not the oldest, because Woodstock came first. But one of the things that I want to kind of get across today is what an important part that Martin Audio particularly play in making this festival work. And as things currently stand, Martin Audio systems can be found, they're probably the most common system you can find across the site. And we are on the pyramid stage, which is the big one. We are on a stage called Westholz, which is the number 3. There's some German PA system I've never heard of on this one here. And then we have a very popular one, which is called Woodsies, kind of an alternative stage. We have the park up on the hill, which has a very eclectic mix of artists. We will look at these in turn. This is down here is it's the naughty corner of the festival where everybody goes after the bands have finished. The southeast corner, again, we'll look at that. 2 stages down there with Martin Audio. And other smaller ones dotted around. There are over 100 stages at Glastonbury, ranging in size from the Pyramid, which has a capacity of about 130,000 people, down to little tiny bars with, 2 speakers on sticks. Here is one of the most recent attempts at trying to steal the job from us, which I can't really think who the manufacturer is. If anybody's got any ideas, I'd be glad to know who it is. But for some reason, they thought it was important to point all the sound up in the air, which is the one thing you don't want to do at a festival like Glastonbury, because you get into all kinds of terrible trouble. But this kind of gives you an idea of the vibe at the festival. I'd like to know who the artist is. They don't look very well. And there's a bird nesting on top of the pyramid there. And here is the famous Lego pyramid stage, featuring a very broken Martin Audio system here. This belongs to the children of Emily Eavis, who is the daughter of the founder, Michael Eavis. And I also love the fact that if you look closely, the PA is actually by Sonos, which kind of makes me laugh. But they have a little museum in the backstage area between the 2 main stages, and this features quite highly in that museum. Glastonbury is in the UK. Has anybody not heard of it? Anybody not heard of Glastonbury? You've all heard of Glastonbury Festival. In the UK, it's like it's as important as things like the Ascot races, or it's part of the kind of UK summer social scene, and everybody tries to go to Glastonbury every year. There's Ascot, there's Henley Rowing Regatta, and there's Glastonbury Festival. This is what we're here to talk about first. This is the pyramid stage. And I thought it'd be just nice to have a look at the kind of history of it a little bit and get an idea of the journey from when it started to where we are today. So the first festival was in 1970, and this was the stage. And the tickets were £1 each, which I think is amazing. But even more amazing is that Michael Eavis, who's the guy who owns the farm on which it happens, he actually sent all the tickets out by post himself. And I think that that's admirable, especially when you see what the place is like now. And, there's a few names we can recognise there. The Kinks, Ian Anderson. And I don't know how many people came, but they were all given a free milk. And here's the PA, which I just think is lovely. And there's some hippies playing drums on the stage. Probably never even heard of who they are. But yeah, that's where we started at Glastonbury. And I have no idea. If anybody recognises that PA system, I'd be happy to know what it is. This was the first pyramid. Built in 1971 with a WEM system on it. And I like the way that they've kind of arrayed it all. It looks highly unstable, but it's also like designed for 180-degree coverage. And the lights are just in the middle of the audience. Brilliant. On the bill that year were the likes of T-Rex and David Bowie. And you can see there that this was only the second festival that the iconic pyramid was a part of the whole look of the festival. Here's just a bit of an overview of some of the various systems that have been used over the years. This was, I think, it was Tony Andrews' festival system for Turbo Sound. I don't know if any of you ever heard it. I heard it with Genesis at Nebworth a long time ago. And there's some flashlight, not surprisingly, waving about in the breeze. What was that, in 1997? It still looks pretty, more ancient than it sounds. GOT, 2003, SSC, put GOT in. What I find amazing is doing research for this presentation is that it's actually quite hard to find photographs of all of this stuff. I spent a long time trawling through all kinds of things to find photographs of the actual sound system. Surprisingly few. Function 1 in 2007, there's Amy Winehouse on stage, bless her. And then in 2008, we got to have a go with the Martin Audio W8 longbow system. Now, to say that it was hard work getting this festival to go with a new system, it will be gross understatement. You have to imagine it's a bit like somebody driving a supertanker and somebody says, quick, stop, turn around, and you just can't because there's too many people with too many opinions and they've got their own agendas and it's a massive, it's a whole city basically, and you have to convince them all that this is the way forward. But we did. And yeah, the W8 longbow system was actually a great success. And again, this was with R.G. Jones, the sound rental company. And we've been there ever since, which is the longest tenure of any sound company and audio manufacturer, loudspeaker manufacturer in the whole history of the festival. Because basically, I think in the past, they'd just get anybody to come up and have a go. The system was designed using the old Martin Audio original 3D software, which was called Display 1.7, with a very basic topographical representation of the field. And it's like a 3D spreadsheet, basically, but very effective and visually quite kind of informative for software of the time. Basically, it was all designed on slices through the loudspeaker on-axis coverage with very approximate topography of the land. It's very, very difficult to get accurate topography in those days. In 2008, the first time we did it all digitally, everybody was terrified. This guy here had to bring a Midas. We had to offer people training on the Digidesign consoles. Some people got it. They came along with and got themselves together on it. But yeah, it was absolutely terrifying. But yeah, ever since, I find it amazing in this day and age that that this was such hard work to get people to accept the digital front of house. What we did was every system has an A/B sort of flip-flop system, so you can see the two. The big Digidesign consoles left and right, and the kind of matrix board in the middle, the profile, which everything comes into and drives the system. We still, essentially, that whole infrastructure is the same these days. Consoles are different, but it worked, and it's been that way ever since. Just a few holiday snaps here of the overall. Just to give you an idea of what's going on, this was, I think, 2008. You can see that this is early in the day, early setup, because there's nobody there, obviously. But it just gives you an idea. There's some strange French side fills there. This is the old subarray with Martin 2, oh God, I can't remember what they were called, SH218Xs, I think, in a kind of mechanical, half processed cardioid array and steered array. I can't remember, there's like 48 boxes or something. It was pretty epic anyway. So that was the original system that we put in there. That year we were host to artists like Amy Winehouse, who, bless her, was about to cop out completely. Anybody recognise this person? No? Shakin' Stevens? Shakin' Stevens in Germany, anybody? Come on. He's an iconic artist. Headlining for the first time that year was Jay-Z, which was a big deal. The first black rap headliner at a British festival ever. Some people, however, weren't quite so sure about this. And Shakin' Stevens was kind of the UK's, he was Elvis light in the UK, if you like. And his most famous song was called Behind the Green Door. Somebody thought it would be a good idea to bring the door with them and actually, you know, tell Jay-Z what they thought. It's great. How do you get into a festival with a door? So, 2014, I managed to persuade the festival they needed to have MLA, Martin Audio's flagship optimized system. And that's just a nice picture showing you that the MLA made a massive difference to the amount of control we had within the auditorium and also, just as importantly, off-site. We are able to deliver sound pressure levels on the pyramid stage in excess of 100 dBA at about 350 meters away from the stage, which is previously unheard of. And it's ultimately all down to the fact that MLA has this unique ability, very, very granular optimization, to be able to control what we cover and what we don't cover. So we're going to have a look at this in detail. And here we are, the Dalai Lama, he says silence is sometimes the best answer. And he's so true, so right. Especially if you live within 3 or 4 kilometers of the festival site. They'd much rather have silence. And we're able to actually not deliver total silence, but get as close to it as is possible. So the Dalai Lama thinks it's great. The main system, 17 MLA and a downfill on each hang to each side of the stage. And that kind of format with the video screen hung in is, I mean, you see it all over the world, festivals all over the world, but it seems to have been pretty successful. Guy Garvey from Elbow, he thought it was great. He did actually say in the media he thought the sound system at Glastonbury was great. And you never hear that. You never hear artists saying, my God, it sounded amazing. And here's me and my wife checking out the infills with Lionel Richie. And what you can't see in this picture, well, it's like wearing headphones down the front. My wife dragged me down the front for Lionel Richie. That's the kind of woman she is. I love her very much for it. And we were down there, and there was Lionel. I don't know if you've ever seen Lionel Richie live. He's a nightmare. His microphone's down here. It's like, oh, come on, Lionel. How long have you been doing this? We were down there. She was having a great time. I was going, yeah, the infills sound really good. But then a guy starts to light a fire on the ground next to us. You know, there's millions of people all around. It's like, so it was quite exciting. And a bit of a little story. We started off with a single ring of 4 delays out at about 120 meters. And at the time, we thought, yeah, this is great. You know, we're covering 250 meters really well, and it dies off nicely at the back of the field. What were we thinking? You know, the size of the audiences we now get for some of the headline acts on the pyramid stage, and you'll see in a while, are immense, and that was never, ever going to be enough. The subarray, the MLX sub is one of the most powerful subs out there. They're all individually powered, all networked, and creating cardioid arc-delayed arrays is relatively straightforward with the networking facility. And that quote, Kanye West was flapping my trousers at around 170 meters, is actually by me, and it's absolutely true. And again, I don't know if you've ever seen Kanye West live. It's all bass and no talent whatsoever. It's horrendous, absolutely horrendous. His lighting rig's so low, he smacked his head on it. It's hilarious. This is the kind of coverage we get from the subarray. You can see it's a really even wavefront that moves up the field. We run the main hangs all down to 50 hertz, so there's plenty of real low end all the way up the field. But it's very smooth. There's no big gaps in the sub coverage anywhere. It's a thing of great beauty. So delay ring 1, as I was saying, 4 positions. You can see here some nice Glastonbury style weather moving in. And if you look closely, here's some of the famous Glastonbury mud, which is absolutely hellish. We use MLA and MLA-C on the first ring of delays, the compact version of MLA, which is the nearest one here. And we added in 2016 a second ring of delays, which was a kind of a repeat, but the way that the system is laid out, which you will see in just a moment, is all kind of to the angles between the arrays and the distances between the arrays is all set out in a way where the horizontal coverage between each delay hang is very even. This is just an overview of the control, the ViewNet control of the system actually in action. This is actually one of the things we've had, I'll be completely honest with this system, is that very often, because everything happens at the same time in the UK, because there's about 3 days of sunshine, if we're lucky, availability is often quite difficult. So this particular system was a mixture of MLA across the top and on the bottom right-hand corner down here. Oh, were wrong button. The Icon amplifiers driving wavefront precision, which is the newer Martin Audio offering. So we're now up to 8 delays, and the coverage is being extended. And the festival likes it so much that they dig us some cable ducts, so they're permanent. But what you have to understand is that Glastonbury takes place on a functioning dairy farm, and all the infrastructure is put in by the farm crew, the guys who work the farm, and they hate it. They hate the festival. And this here is there's a little disagreement going on between the guy who's standing in the pit with a wellies and a spade, because the main cable duct, the main front of house multi-core duct, has collapsed about 2 hours before they opened the doors, which was fun. We managed to get it working. This is Paul English, the production manager, and you can see what he thinks of the whole thing. And if you look at his expression, he's going, "What the fuck?" But this is the kind of things you have to deal with. That, you know, it is a dairy farm, and when it gets muddy, it's not because it's mud. It's actually more of a combination of, let's just say, putting it politely, the produce of dairy cattle mixed with Somerset's finest cider. Here's an overview of how the system's laid out in plan view, and you can see how all the angles between the delays has been worked out. They all radiate from downstage center, and the whole thing is designed to fit the slightly strange shape, sort of twisted rhombus field. And this, you can see where all the cable ducts have been dug. But as I said, the festival have now given us permanent cable ducts. So anybody else who tries to nick the festival office is going to have to use the same system design, because that's the only place they can put the speakers. Let's just have a look at the... come on. Oh. This is a view of how we kind of look at the system meshing together. So the blue is the main left and right, the yellow down here are the infills, the green is the first set of delays, and the red is the second set of delays. So we've plotted the horizontal on from the positioning of the array and the coverage start and the coverage stop to see how it all meshes together and gives you a good idea of how well it fills the field. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the Martin Audio optimization software, but what it allows you to do is the slice through a loudspeakers on axis coverage. The software has a series of virtual microphones, all represented by these dots. And those virtual microphones will take the vector back all of the SPL frequency response back to, and amplitude back to every single different component in every array. So you get a very granular, very tightly controlled output that is designed for the audience area, not for what comes out of the array. So what's important is what arrives at people's ears, which, let's face it, is what we're all about. The green area is the audience. The red area is where we want it to start dying away. And the blue area at the back is the harder void, where we really don't want sound. So you imagine you live in a house a couple of kilometers away from the back of the pyramid arena. We can say, we want the system to turn itself down by 30, 40 dB by the time it gets to the end, the blue bit at the end. We also dictate the actual SPL profile. So there's a 5 dB difference between the coverage start underneath the array and the end of the green bit. It's incredibly accurate. We've measured it many times. And these are the results. So you can see these sliders on the right allow us to vary the weighting between the importance of the sound pressure level and frequency response goal to the importance of the harder void area and the non-audience area in red. The integrity of the array is maintained whether you slide the blue one all the way to the right. At the bottom, this is the most interesting thing. These represent how well the system's achieved what it is we've asked it to do. So the green line tells us that it has achieved the goal across the audience area of a 5 dB front to back SPL difference with a variation of half a dB. And it's done that within this line here, which is a 2 dB versus the 0 here. So it's all within about 1 dB until you get up to about 7K, when it, not surprisingly, starts to get a little bit ragged. I have to say that is a particularly good one. And the other thing is the blue tells us that the harder void is down at minus 40-ish, 35, 40 along here, and is pretty good all the way through the entire frequency response of the system. This just gives you an overview of the topography of the arena. And this is really, really important. Before we had the ability with the display software, we can import geolocated locations in from SketchUp, and it gives us really accurate topography. When we got this happening, suddenly all the optimizations for the each different array became really quite different, and we were quite surprised by that. But the results were astonishing at just how much better it is. Having that accurate topography to dictate what the audience, the actual profile of the audience is absolutely vital. And in Display 3, we can import that from SketchUp. And it's really cool. And that's what the coverage looked like in 2023. In 2024, however, it's a bit faded, I'm afraid. We added another 3 delays. This area here used to be camping. The festival decided to open it up to the audience without telling us in 2023, which was a bit unfair. We jumped up and down and they said, we want to put in some more speakers. And they said, oh, okay then. So we've got 3 more, so 11 delays altogether, 3 more here. I think the longest delay time is 700 and something milliseconds to cover that back area. This, what we do is divide the audience up into 50 meters. These are 50 meter sections, I think, or 100. So I can't remember what they are. It's about 350 meters to the tree. But anyway, we divide it up into sections so that we can turn bits of it on and off during the optimization and design process, just to see how much certain arrays are contributing to different parts of the field, where they're summing together well, etc. You can see around the top the kind of triangles of the light purple section. That's because of the triangulation calculations in the topography. That is the result of C weighting minus 6 dBu input. And what we can see across here is that we are covering the entire field, 90% of the field. So you don't think about the very extremes, I suppose. Within about 4 dB, this is C-weighted, just don't forget. Sorry about that, that wasn't me. But this is the most impressive thing, I think. The standard deviation across the whole field is less than 3 dB. And you can tell. The thing that sticks in my mind is that one year, we had an engineer who was really kicking off and wanted to bring their own. Several people have said, we want to bring our own PA system. The festival says, no, it's too much hassle. And there's no one act bigger than the festival itself. And we did everything in our power to try and get this guy to engage and come and learn about the system. But he refused. And we thought he's going to be a real pain in the arse. But he showed up and he walked the field before his band came on. I'm not going to say who it was. And he came into front of house and he said, you know what? This is the best sounding festival system I have ever heard in my life. And he's been around a bit. And so that was a pretty cool thing to hear. Yeah, so that's just a slide that's in the wrong place. Other stages, that's the pyramid. Other stages, just go through this lot. The other stages that I'm directly involved in with Martin Audio, West Holtz is like the 3rd stage. It's great. You can see this is Jungle on here headlining, but you get everything on here from, we've had Jeff Goldblum with his jazz band. We've had naked Japanese punk bands. We've had Viking metal, all kinds of things. Crazy mixture of all kinds of bonkers stuff. A great little stage, and it's got a real nice vibe to it. This is it from above. The challenge here is that we need to cover this bit, but we need to avoid this, which are the central markets where people are selling tie-dye and dream catchers, and Greenpeace and Theatre and Circus, who don't want to hear West Holtz. We put a hard avoid at the back of the field, rather like we saw in the pyramid, and everybody's happy. we move on. We've also worked with the production to actually move the stage. So you can kind of see here, this is the new one, new position here. That's the old one. It's all twisted round, firing in, along the long axis of the rectangle of the field. It's made a big difference. It's great to be able to work with people to influence that kind of change. And we run 2 delays of WPL on Westholtz. They're seen as the little black bird feet. It's a Martin Audio family affair at Glastonbury. There's no one company that could manage all of it. And 22 Live supply Westholtz with WPL PCPS. And it's a lovely thing. And there's Martin Audio's very own legendary Ben Tucker. The naughty corner in the southeast corner of the festival is an interesting place to be. This is the Icon stage, which was new in 2019. An incredible 20-meter high, 3-dimensional projection mapped structure, mostly electronic dance music. There is some live performance. But as you can see, it's visually a pretty extraordinary thing. And it runs all night until 6 in the morning. Again, the family thing, DB Solutions from the north come and help out with this one. And it is a feast for the senses, would be the way to describe it. We've used some immersive stuff. We've put Timax on there. They run every time. They run a thing called AV3D, which is like it's kind of a audio-visual political statement, which we use Timax to drive this summer. You can just see the guys here rigging the system. Westholtz, this is a lovely part of the festival to work in during the day because it's really quiet. And what I love about it is that this guy in the blue shirt, nobody knows who he is. He shows up with his little Stanley toolbox. He's got a tea kit in it. And he just brings everybody cups of tea. And it's just the most delightful thing. And you kind of think, who are you? What are you doing? Would you like a cup of tea? That would be fantastic. Thank you very much. How, can I pay you? No, it's all part of the service. It's just delightful. It's what he does all day. He goes around giving people tea. This, on the right, I love this. The guys from DB Solutions, you know how it is when you rig your line arrays and you put a tape measure on it, because you can't use a laser, you can never get it in the right place. You put a tape measure on it, and when it comes to the time you want to pull it, it's either stuck because you've used gaffer tape like an idiot, or you pull it off and there's a bit of PVC tape flapping in the wind for the rest of the gig. The guys at DB Audio, they use these little parachute guys with a Jubilee clip, which they put on the rigging pins. And hey presto, when you pull your tape measure, it just floats gently down to earth. It's beautiful, I love that. This is the other stage. Next to Icon, the Genesis stage, same kind of thing, big spectacular dance stage. Really heavy duty techno and stuff on this one. MLAC, MLX subs. It's absolute. I think the expression is the kids, they say things like absolutely banging in it. That is absolutely banging. Elsewhere on the festival, I'm very conscious of the fact I've only got 4 minutes left. Woodsies used to be the John Peel stage. Southwest Group putting WPL in there to great acclaim. It's a great vibe in there. I've got stories about, I've mixed in that tent. Amazing what's gone on in there. When you follow the Killers and the audience, Killers did a secret set. The audience was massive. I was with Goldfrapp, they came on afterwards and all of their playback broke. So we were really, really late, but the audience all stayed. And when we got it working, the place erupted, went bonkers, and we were actually about 6 dB louder than the Killers. That was just fantastic. Yeah, great stage. People love it. It's legendary. This is the park up on the top of the hill. Such a beautiful photograph. The park is somewhere, again, it's quite an eclectic mix. Here's Max Richter with Tilda Swinton. doing his thing up there, mixed by a friend of mine called Chris Eakers, who's a bit of a legend. However, enough about speakers and stages and all that. What it's really all about is the people. And I just want to finish with a couple of things here, just to show you where it's at with us as a kind of team of guys and girls who run the audio at Glastonbury. Some of these people are industry legends. This was the year when Elton John headlined, so you can see the glasses there. And we have a loud shirt day every year on the festival. Here we go. This is my son on the left wearing double denim, which is unforgivable. I think I'd disown him. So that's my Harry there, who's following in my footsteps. Doing a great job. These guys are legends. They're absolute legends. This pyramid stage runs to time every time, but everybody has a great time, and we kind of get involved, and there's a lot of love. I love this. This is somebody's flight case on the bucket list. What am I going to do today? I'm going to hug Dave Grohl. This Monitor World having a good time with the master musicians of Jujuka. You know, there's no grief at Glastonbury. It's all fun. It's all about a great team of people. Just a few more shots of the guys here with their crazy glasses. And again, my son actually looking really miserable in the artist's bar with a DJ system, and I think it's a CDD live. It is all about the people. On the right here, some of the Pyramid crew in the best gay bar on the festival site. It's frightening in there at times, I can tell you. So just to finish off, we're going to have a bit of fun. We're going to play Pop Star Bingo, and I believe that Sebastian's going to buy everybody who gets it right a beer. Is that right, Sebastian? You're going to buy everybody a beer who gets these right? So here we go. Why don't you shout out who you think these people are? What's her proper name? Debbie Harry. She's not Blondie, she's Debbie Harry, but yes. So that's just a half a pint for that one. Come on, don't be shy. Who's that? I'll be honest, I haven't got a clue who that is on the left. But the bloke on the right is fairly obvious. Come on. Yes. Dave Grohl, yeah. Dolly Parton. She's got a lot to answer for with that system. Any ideas? Lily Allen. One of which legendary. No? Anybody? Sheryl Crow. Difficult one, this, potentially. Come on. Crowded house. Yes, Adele. You should know that. She's been in Germany for the past 6 months. Somebody going like this. Anybody? She's ancient. Another legend. Patti Smith. Nicely done, sir. That's a really difficult one. They're from Canada, I believe. No? Arcade Fire. You guys, you love these guys. You all love these guys. If I go, whoa. Coldplay? They don't go, whoa. It's Metallica. That's me. Martin Audio powers the greatest show on earth. That's what the festival calls itself. And I feel really privileged to be able to be involved in it and had the job of actually making sure it sounds pretty good. This is our glorious leader, Michael Eavis, the guy who posted all the tickets for £1 each in 1970. That's him in the circle at the top there. And this is the crowd for Elton John. And in there, are 11 hangs of Martin Audio's finest. And if you look, oh, hang on, need to go back. If you look really closely, there's a little grey smudge there. That's me. Thanks very much for listening. Thank you.